So Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, thinks that Bitcoin could hit $700,000. Meanwhile, the US government is potentially preparing to sell their gold for Bitcoin. In today's video, we'll be going over exactly that. We'll also be going over the recent Bitcoin price action, which has been extremely boring, what to expect next, and also I have identified a potential opportunity for shorting the market. If you enjoy the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe. Let's jump right into the video. So here's a visual representation of Bitcoin over the past few days. So boring, just bouncing between the 83 to 85K level. Not much else outside of that. Now, altcoins have actually started to perform a little bit better because they dumped so drastically on Bitcoin's correction that now they're starting to bottom out. And we're starting to see some other altcoins, such as Fartcoin, starting to perform well. As we can see here, I measured from the top all the way down, and Fartcoin dropped nearly 93%. Now, since then, after forming that bottom, we have pumped 174%. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because this could indicate that we are starting to enter a little bit more of a risk-on environment. Perhaps people are starting to get ready to roll on some more risk. Now, there was this guy that came across my feed on X that actually accumulated $1.1 million worth of Fartcoin at an average price of 0.25 for a short-term long trade. After the timeline was super bearish, calling for further lows, the sentiment was dead, but the Fartcoin mindshare and volume remained at all-time highs, which is always very good indicators. You want to see the mindshare remain high, and you want to see the volume remain high. Now, since it was down over 90% from all-time highs, he felt like it was an easy short-term 2x, and props to him for this trade because he ended up selling at an average of around 0.51 today. With the $2.1 million from that trade, he put in $1 million back into his bank account into fiat currency, $600,000 back into Bitcoin, and $500,000 remaining in stables in case we get any unexpected nukes. So this is just one example amongst many of altcoins starting to see a little bit of reversals. So you should definitely start paying attention here. Now, in this video, I also have a very interesting meme coin that I think I will be making a lot of money on, and I just thought I would share my play with you. First of all, I do want to share this. Michael Saylor came out and he said, needs more orange. Now, this is his map where he goes ahead and accumulates Bitcoin at all of the levels. So this could imply that this week, strategy is looking to make another big Bitcoin buy. Now, we also have Senator Cynthia Lummis that came out and said that the US government should sell its gold to buy Bitcoin. Let's see what she has to say.
That provides authority by statute for the U.S. government to take gold certificates, which we hold them at about 1974 value, which was, I don't know, $46 an ounce or some such thing, and then bring them to market value and then use that to buy Bitcoin. If we did that, we could probably buy 200,000 Bitcoin every year for 5 years, hold them for 20 years, and not use a single new taxpayer dollar to do it. So, this is a very doable thing.
That would be insane. You can imagine the kind of pump that we would get if this is confirmed. And I think that this is also one of the many reasons why Bitcoin is not budging any lower. I've been vocally bearish on the channel since $106,000, calling for us to potentially retest all the way as low as $73,000. But I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. And so as soon as we get that higher time frame flip, I will confirm with you that I think that the bottom is in. But until then, we still need to be a little bit cautious. Now, we are pumping above the key level that we've been discussing on the channel, which is the 200-day moving average. This is the blue line. So if we get a weekly close above this level, it would start to look very positive for Bitcoin, so long as we can move on higher and start to confirm those higher time frame support levels like this orange line over here and all the way up back into our original range around 91.8K. If we reclaim those levels, it is game on, and I would be happy to confirm that the bottom is in and that we will be moving higher and setting a new all-time high for Bitcoin. In the meantime, though, there's also footage of Larry Fink circulating around, who's the CEO of BlackRock, talking about how Bitcoin can go as high as $500,000 to $700,000. Let's hear what he has to say.
If you're frightened of your debasement of your currency, or you're frightened of your economic or political stability of your country, you could have an internationally based instrument called Bitcoin that will overcome those local fears. And so I'm a big believer in the utilization of that as an instrument. And so if that becomes true, and you see that it could be a proper hedge against maybe hope security or equities, the question is, could you see a 2 or 5% allocation? I was with a sovereign wealth fund during this week, and that was the conversation. Should we have a 2% allocation? Should we have a 5% allocation? If everybody adopted that conversation, it would be 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 for Bitcoin.
There you have it. The CEO of BlackRock coming out and saying that a $700,000 Bitcoin is indeed possible. Now imagine that. And that's why I always go back to, you want to keep dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin. This is of course not financial advice. It's only what I'm doing as a young individual. Any profits that I make trading the crypto market go directly into Bitcoin. I also have a stable coin stash in case the market nukes, like that other guy we talked about in the channel with the fart coin example. But anyways, no one can predict the market with absolute certainty. And so that's why it's very important to dollar cost average into an asset that you believe, such as Bitcoin. So this is exactly what I'm doing while trading the markets. Now, speaking of trading the markets, I have a very interesting trade that I'd like to share with you. So one thing that's interesting is that Ramadan actually ends this month. And you might be asking, why would I even discuss this? Well, Mubarak, the meme coin. Now, this coin has made it all the way up to a $140 million valuation. And so I think that this is definitely good for discussion, especially as it pertains to trading and especially as Ramadan gets closer to the end. So what's my trade setup? As we get closer to the end of Ramadan, I will be shorting this token on weeks. And that reminds me, if you want to trade any of the cryptocurrencies that I talk about on this channel, make sure to click the first link in my description down below. It brings you directly to weeks where you can even earn a 50% deposit bonus. That means that if you are to deposit $2,000 to your week's account, you get $1,000 back for trading purposes. Now, the reason why I use this exchange is because it's one of the only exchanges that lists these new meme coins faster than everyone else. And so you're able to trade them much quicker. This is where I traded Mubarak in the first place within the Discord community, you'll know. And we shorted from here all the way down to here. We made about a 400% profit on that trade. And now it's looking like it's trying to see a little bit of a reversal here. Now, after that reversal, and as Ramadan comes to an end, I will be shorting this token on weeks. Now, I think that it could actually go below a $50 million market cap. And so with using a little bit of leverage shorting this token, it can definitely bring on some significant profits. This is of course not financial advice. I'm just telling you exactly what I'm doing, and I will be talking about it within the Discord community as well. But anyways, this is the trade that I'm looking at. It's hard to tell if we will pump to the upside here and catch that all-time high right around a $220 million market cap, but that's not the game that I'm trying to play. I'm waiting for this pump to essentially be over towards the end of the month, and that's when I will be shorting the token. And why do I think that this will likely work? Well, here is one example that I talked about on the channel a while ago. If you've been subscribed, you'll remember this one. Wood snake. This was the symbol for the Chinese New Year, and we actually executed a little bit of a different trade here. I wasn't leverage trading this one, but we did buy a lot of wood snake right around these levels. I publicly talked about it on the channel, and it pumped all the way up, and we took significant profits on this one, making about $3,000 on this trade. And as you can see, the end result was a complete and utter rug. Now, I'm not saying that Mubarak will rug in the same way that Woodsnake did, because Mubarak is a much higher market cap coin. But what I am saying is that usually at the end of these events, we can see significant downside. So this is just the play that I'm going to be executing. If you want to trade it as well, you can sign up to weeks where you can potentially long it, where we could form that double top. Or you can try to implement the strategy that I just discussed, where I will be targeting the end of Ramadan to be shorting this token. Now, perhaps this will give us a huge surprise and just keep on pumping, but I have seen it time and time again with any kind of events. They tend to come to an end, and the token also tends to come to an end, which is why I'm expecting a significant correction for Mubarak. So keep your eyes on this one if you want a relatively easy trade, in my opinion. And lastly, I just thought I would end this video showing the liquidation heat map. As we can see, there's a ton of liquidity piling up in both directions here. right around $85,000 and above, and right below $83,000. It wouldn't surprise me if both of these levels get liquidated, all the longers and all the shorters, because the price has been consolidating within this range, which means we could have an explosive breakout for Bitcoin, wicking to one side and making its next move in the other direction. So back to the Bitcoin chart before we wrap up this video. This is a very important weekly close. We want to close above this blue line as our first condition to become more and more bullish. And so if we can close the week here, it would be very positive. I will not lie. I will be the first to tell you when I flip full bull mode. Until then, operate with a little bit of caution, and I've just been trading these other cryptocurrencies on weeks. And that sums up today's video. We have Cynthia Loomis coming out and saying that the US should sell their gold for Bitcoin. We also have Larry Fink predicting a $700,000 Bitcoin. Don't hold him accountable to that, but he said that publicly, which is huge because he's the CEO of BlackRock, and we're also trading these other cryptocurrencies in the meantime as we wait for Bitcoin to reclaim these key levels. It should be a very exciting week in the cryptoverse. I don't think that the price will just keep on staying still between $83,000 and $85,000, although that would be a very boring week if it happened. Regardless, I will keep you updated. If you enjoyed the content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.